Benz of the local Air Force came out with an official statement in the Arizona Republic claiming that she had finally found the actual explanation to the Phoenix Lights. They were military flares. Case closed.
The Maryland National Guard has claimed they were responsible for the Phoenix Lights. They say they were dropping flares from A-10 jets during a military exercise.
In that article, she even referenced Village Labs and the videos that they were storing as proof that they had to be military flares because the way that they faded out is explained by the fact that the flares were dropping behind the mountaintops of South Mountain.
Our A-10 Thunderbolts that are right behind me were on a night illumination exercise over the very Goldwater Range Complex southwest of Phoenix, and they were dropping high-intensity flares, and we think that those flares were mistakenly called UFOs by the folks in the valley in Phoenix.
Okay, if you know anything about how light is analyzed, how every single light source has a spectrum attached to it. Now listen to this guy.
Characteristics, their motion pattern, and the geometry of where they physically are located. None of those match up with flares being discharged at any military base in this state.
So what about some of the videos suggested they weren't flares?
Their relationship to each other. There was no movement. The light color of the light was wrong.
You see, with all the fancy computers at Village Labs, they had analyzed these videos using a technique called spectrum analysis.
Yeah, spectrum analysis. See, they look for the wavelengths of the light. Like if it's green, yellow, red, purple, whatever, they have the wavelengths that they're measuring light with. And for flares, the wavelengths can be very sporadic. The brightness levels can be up and down, and the colors don't line up evenly. See, these are all the colors right here of the spectrum that they're analyzing: red, yellow, and blue. And it shows that the lights from the Phoenix Lights have a perfect wavelength where red, yellow, and blue, or red, green, and blue, or whatever I think it's red, green, and blue, all lock onto each other in this one spike for every single one of the Phoenix Lights. And every single other light that they analyzed in the videos are all sporadic. They have the red and green and the blue are not perfectly laid on to each other like this in one steep spike, which is pretty amazing. That is real hard data evidence right there that those lights were from somewhere else and not from this planet.
To categorize lights by the amount of red, green, and blue that's in every light in the frame.
Which essentially compared the unknown balls of light against other known balls of light already in their database.
So we were matching images to see what they were in a database, like fingerprints. Got 1 million fingerprints in file, you get an unknown fingerprint, see if you get a match. If you get a match, you know what it is. If you don't get a match, let's see, what's that called? It's called an unknown.
Jim Dilatoso says the lights do not fit the spectrum profile of any known object, including flares.
And in the Phoenix Lights videos, there was hundreds of lights on the ground, and airplanes, and street lights, and car lights, and we had to categorize and index every single one of those.
On this image, we have the flares that have been shot by a local news crew that went down to the gunnery range. And you can see up here the red, green, and blue components of this flare light form kind of a cluster. Now let's go over here and just look at another one of these lights and see if they have any characteristics that are similar. This is a really messy one. See, the red, green, and blue are way out of alignment.
We analyzed all the different choices that it could be and came to the conclusion that it was very mysterious lights, not flares. We didn't know what it was. We knew what it wasn't. It wasn't flares way over there.
Now let's go over to the light from the Mike Kristen Moon Valley shot down here. Now the most obvious difference is that the light from the unknown shot by Mike Kristen is a clear wave shape where the components, red, green, and blue, are graphs that are right on top of each other. When we compare all the different light sources to each other, we find that only the unknown objects in all of the video have this purity of wave shape.
All of those principles are applied to street lights.
Now the most obvious difference is that the light from the unknown shot by Mike Kristen is a clear wave shape where the components, red, green, and blue, are graphs that are right on top of each other.
Okay, now I cannot stress this evidence right here enough. This is a pure sign of intelligence right here. It's somebody has invented a light that is so perfect and pure that all the colors are perfectly in line with each other in the electromagnetic spectrum spike that they are emitting light at. They're emitting red, green, and blue at at equally and precisely the same energetic levels evenly together. And we don't have any lights that do that. We have artificial light, but we don't perfect it to the point where it's like this, where the colors are perfectly in line with each other. Like the guy says, like we analyzed all the other light sources in the videos and they're all messy compared to this one, the one from the Phoenix lights. They are perfectly in line with each other. And that means that something out there not only invented a light, but they intelligently crafted it to where all the lights, the colors from the light source all perfectly align with each other in one harmonious synced wavelength of illumination. And that's not easy to do. That's really hard to do. I don't think they might be able to do that in like labs with with lasers that are tuned to shoot out only one wavelength of light. You'll see a single wavelength, a standing wave it's called, but I don't think we're able to make like three different colored lasers perfectly in sync like this at this kind of power level and at that kind of luminosity. I'm just saying.
When we compare all the different light sources to each other, we find that only the unknown objects in all of the video have this purity of wave shape.
All of those principles are applied to street lights and car lights and airplane lights and the Phoenix lights and flares, and comparing them all and say, well, what properties do each one of those have over time, over 10 seconds, over 2 minutes?
These are the flares. These are the unknowns. If we look at the flares, they are the red.
Right.
The way that the flares come on is a very uneven pathway, and they're flickering and changing, and then they die and go out.
Look at the Phoenix, the line for the Phoenix light.
Flares come on like this. The Phoenix lights and flares, and comparing them all and say, well, what properties do each one of those have over time, over 10 seconds, over 2 minutes?
These are the...
You see, the flares, they're going up in brightness, down in brightness, up in brightness, kind of steady here, then down. Look at the Phoenix lights. They go straight kind of on, and they stay at one brightness, one like it's like a solid straight line. And then they dip away. These are one solid brightness. You see how the size looks different, like the dimness, this is dimmer, this is brighter. These are all the same brightness the whole way across. The computer doesn't see a single dimming or brightening effect in the whole time these lights are on. So not only are they perfectly in line with red, green, and blue, but their luminosity is absolutely flawlessly stable.
Flares, these are the unknowns. If we look at the flares, they are the red.
Right.
The way that the flares come on is a very uneven pathway, and they're flickering and changing.
Look at how they come on. It goes up in brightness and it stops for a minute. Up in brightness and then stops. Up in brightness. And then look at that. You don't. That is intelligent. That is intelligence turning on, you know, more and more power, or more and more luminosity, or more and more something. That's intelligent control right there. I can't really see. It looks like it goes down in kind of little. It doesn't go on. It goes on in very sharp steps, but it goes down in little slightly curved steps. That's very interesting.
Changing, and then they die and go out.
The flares come on like this. So the graph looks like this. The Phoenix lights are a stair step.
The unknowns come on in a very regimented pathway, stay exactly the same, and then go out in a very gentle, intelligent manner.
And it's like someone went click, 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 brighter, 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 and it goes off the same way. That element alone was very interesting.
And because of this analysis that he had already been doing for months, they had already concluded that these were simply not flares.
There was nothing in the videos that made me think it was flares. I just dismissed it and got on to the next thing. There's no reason to hang in there and keep trying to squeeze out something, anything, to say, yes, it was flares.
Because it's not just the lights. It's radar masking. It's hundreds of witnesses seeing it fly overhead.
And to make this mystery even stranger, over 10 years later, once the dust had already settled, Fife Simonton, who is no longer in government at the time, would come out to the UFO community and publicly state on
he stated that he saw it.
Stage that he himself had actually witnessed a UFO in the sky on March.
Yeah, he saw the craft too. So the Phoenix Lights was no joke. It was a serious encounter, and the light analysis part of this video is the most important and most compelling source of evidence, because that is real data. And it shows that something in the sky with those lights was intelligently operating it. And not only were they intelligently operating it, but the quality of the light that was coming from those, whatever that was in the sky, was absolutely flawless. The colors were perfectly merged. They were not deviating from each other at all. They came on together. They went off together. And they were just... We don't have that kind of intelligence over the lights that we build. We build lights that have messy spectra because we don't care. As long as it glows, we don't care. That right there, that was specifically designed to be in sync like that for some reason. Who knows why, but the light, that spectrum analysis data is very important for the Phoenix Lights, and it's... To say that they're flares is just, that's somebody who doesn't understand how light is analyzed. If they think it's flares, they either haven't heard the story of that laboratory and that professor right there that did the lights analysis. They never ever heard of him. They don't understand it, or they just don't choose to accept it. So the Phoenix Lights encounter was a real encounter. There was something in the sky that was very large, like the size of a mountain, and it had lights glowing from it that had very intelligent control over the luminosity and the color mixture of those lights. And we don't know how to build something like that. We're not even close. And that's just building an artificial light. Who knows what that ship was capable of. But I wanted to make this video and point this out because this is no joke. That was a serious encounter, and these people are not joking when they say they saw something. There's no doubt in my mind that they definitely witnessed something. And that spectrum analysis, if you don't understand it, just look into how, like, they analyze light from glowing gas, like how they analyze light from our sun. Just they analyze it with spectra. And if you believe it or not, the sun, our sun, actually puts out more green light than any other light wave in the spectrum. It's yellow, it's red, but it's mostly green light that comes from our sun. If you didn't know that, go look it up. You'll be surprised how much you can learn by looking at light itself and not thinking that they were flares.